Our world is changing. The climate crisis looms large. Renewable energy is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. We're in the midst of an energy revolution. Solar panels dot our landscapes, wind turbines spin on distant hills, but there's another player in this green energy game. It's powerful, reliable, and often overlooked. I'm talking about hydropower. Hydropower isn't new. We've harnessed the power of water for centuries. But traditional hydropower has its problems. That's where closed-loop hydropower plants come in. Picture a giant water battery. That's essentially what a closed-loop hydropower plant is. It's a system that stores energy in the form of water. But unlike traditional hydropower, it doesn't rely on a constantly flowing river. Instead, it uses the same water over and over again. It's a closed system, hence the name closed loop. Here's how it works in simple terms. You have two reservoirs. One is high up, the other is lower down. When you need power, you let water flow from the upper reservoir to the lower one. As it flows, it spins turbines. These turbines generate electricity. When you have excess power, you pump the water back up to the higher reservoir. It's like recharging your battery. The beauty of this system is its flexibility. It can generate power when needed. It can store energy when there's a surplus. The beauty of closed-loop hydropower lies in its cyclical nature. It's not a one-way street like many other power sources, it's more like a continuous loop, hence the name. This cycle can repeat indefinitely. The same water is used over and over again. During times of high electricity demand, the plant generates power. Water flows from the upper reservoir to the lower one, producing electricity. But when demand is low, usually at night, the process reverses. Excess power from the grid pumps water back up to the upper reservoir. This cycle aligns perfectly with our daily energy needs. It's like a natural rhythm, matching the ebb and flow of our power consumption. The flexibility of this system is its superpower. It can respond to changes in energy demand within minutes. This responsiveness is crucial as we transition to a grid powered by more variable renewable sources. Section 5. Environmental advantages of closed-loop systems. Let's talk about the elephant in the room: environmental impact. Traditional hydropower has a mixed reputation. Yes, it's renewable, but it can also disrupt river ecosystems. It can alter water flow, affect fish migration, and change water temperatures.
Closed-loop hydropower sidesteps many of these issues. It's like getting the benefits of hydropower without the ecological downsides. First, closed-loop systems don't require a constantly flowing river. They use the same water over and over. This means they don't need to dam entire river systems. They don't disrupt natural water flows. Fish can continue their migrations unimpeded. The natural rhythm of the river remains intact.
Secondly, these plants have a small footprint. They don't flood large areas like traditional reservoir dams. The reservoirs are typically smaller and can often be built in existing geographic features.
Lastly, closed-loop hydropower is a clean energy source.
Section 6. Meeting the energy demands of tomorrow. Our energy needs are changing. We're moving away from fossil fuels. We're embracing renewables. But this transition brings challenges. Wind and solar are great, but they're variable. The sun doesn't always shine. The wind doesn't always blow. We need ways to balance these fluctuations. That's where closed-loop hydropower shines.
Think of closed-loop hydropower as the great stabilizer. When wind and solar produce excess power, it can store that energy. When they're not producing enough, it can fill the gap. It's like a buffer, smoothing out the peaks and valleys of renewable energy production.
But it's not just about balancing other renewables. Closed-loop hydropower can also help meet peak demand. Think about a hot summer day. Air conditioners are running full blast. Section 7, comparing closed-loop to traditional hydropower. Traditional hydropower has served us well. It's been a cornerstone of renewable energy for decades, but closed-loop systems offer some distinct advantages. Let's compare the two. It's like comparing a river to a lake. Both are bodies of water, but they function very differently.
Traditional hydropower relies on the continuous flow of a river. It's great when water is plentiful. But during droughts or low-flow seasons, power generation can suffer. Closed-loop systems don't have this problem. They can operate regardless of river conditions. It's like having a reserve water tank for your house.
Environmental impact is another key difference. Traditional dams can significantly alter river ecosystems. They can block fish migrations, change water temperatures, and alter sediment flow. Closed-loop systems have a much smaller impact. They don't interfere with river flow. Section 8, the economic benefits of closed-loop hydropower. Let's talk money. Energy isn't just about technology, it's also about economics. Closed-loop hydropower has some compelling economic advantages. It's like a long-term investment that keeps paying dividends. First, there's the lifespan. Closed-loop hydropower plants can operate for decades. Some existing pumped storage plants have been running for over 70 years. That's a long time to generate clean energy. The initial investment might be high, but the long operational life makes it cost-effective over time. It's like buying a quality appliance. It costs more up front, but saves money in the long run. Then there's the efficiency. Modern closed-loop systems can achieve round-trip efficiencies of up to 80%. This means 80% of the energy used to pump water uphill is recovered when it flows back down. That's impressive. It's much higher than many other forms of energy storage. Section 9, challenges and considerations. No technology is perfect. Closed-loop hydropower has its challenges. It's important to acknowledge these. It's like looking at both sides of a coin. We need to understand the full picture. One major challenge is the initial cost. Building these plants isn't cheap. It requires significant upfront investment. The payoff comes over time, but that initial hurdle can be high. It's like building a house. The cost is front-loaded, but the benefits last for decades. Location is another consideration. These plants need specific geographic features. You need 2 reservoirs at different elevations. Not every place has suitable sites. It's like trying to build a ski resort. You need the right terrain. Section 10, global adoption and success stories. Closed-loop hydropower isn't just a concept, it's a reality. Countries around the world are embracing this technology. Let's look at some success stories. It's like a global tour of clean energy innovation. In Europe, Switzerland is a leader. The Limmen pumped storage plant is a marvel of engineering. It's built inside a mountain. The upper reservoir is at an altitude of 2,474 meters. The lower reservoir is Lake Limmen. It can generate 1,000 megawatts of power. That's enough to power hundreds of thousands of homes. China is also investing heavily in this technology. The Fengning pumped storage power station is the world's largest. When fully operational, it will have a capacity of 3,600 megawatts. That's huge. It's like having 3 large nuclear reactors, but without the radioactive waste. Section 11, the future of closed-loop hydropower. As we look to the future, closed-loop hydropower's role seems set to grow. It's not just about building new plants, it's about innovation. It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. It's like watching the next chapter of an exciting story unfold. One exciting development is the concept of underground pumped hydro storage. Instead of surface reservoirs, these systems would use old mines or purpose-built caverns. It's like having an energy storage system hidden beneath our feet. This could open up new locations for closed-loop hydropower, even in flat areas. Another frontier is seawater pumped hydro storage. This uses the ocean as the lower reservoir. A higher reservoir is built on a coastal cliff. It's like harnessing the power of the sea without damming rivers. This could be a game changer for coastal and island communities. Integration with other renewables is another exciting development. By combining closed-loop hydropower with solar and wind, we can create a more resilient and flexible energy grid. It's like having a backup plan that ensures we always have power no matter the weather conditions.